to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision.
You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood every Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBC TV for Dada's Show.
And Donald Trump is the new comeback king in the United States of America. So far, 279 electoral college votes. And of course, this makes him the first president since 1800 to stage a comeback into a White House. We have details for you in tonight's broadcast.
Also on our weekly feature, Cinemas and Theatre tonight, we center our focus on the 9th edition of the Kenya International Theatre Festival that has kicked off in Nairobi.
Welcome to Prime Edition. Here are tonight's highlights. KCSE candidates arrested in Ruiru for sneaking phones into exam room as 10 teachers are taken to court over exam malpractices. President Ruto flies out to Juba on mission to sign a deal expected to resolve years of political conflict in South Sudan. And former U.S. President Donald Trump dims the dreams of a second female U.S. presidential candidate as he wins in the 2024 U.S. polls.
Many thanks for making time for us. This is Prime Edition. I'm Doreen Arange. Lucy Maura is our sign language interpreter.
And my name is John Jacob Kioria. You're very much welcome to the broadcast. To start us off, 2 students have been placed under police custody in Ruiru, Kiambu County for allegedly engaging in malpractice in the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examinations KCSE.
Confirming the incident, Ruiru CIO Jeremiah Dubai said the candidates were caught with mobile phones at Membley High School in violation of NEC regulations.
Meanwhile, 10 teachers at Pala Masogo Secondary have been granted 1 million shillings cash bill each by a Homa Bay court after they denied charges of involvement in exam malpractices.
The phones shall be in a lockable desk outside the examination rooms, and the supervisor will be the custodian of the key.
That was Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migoso Gamba's directive on Monday that mobile phones will not be allowed within exam centers during the ongoing KCSE exams. His words were made true on Wednesday after police officers nabbed 2 candidates at Membley High School for bringing mobile phones. Ruiru DCIO Jeremiah Dubai said police officers monitoring exams in the sub-county conducted a search which led to the discovery of the phones.
One of the students was caught with the mobile phone, which is prohibited before the exam started. So this one led us to do a thorough search for all the candidates, and then that is when we recovered the second phone.
Meanwhile, 10 teachers from Palamasogo Secondary School who were recently arrested for alleged involvement in exam malpractice have each been granted a bond of 2 million shillings with a surety of an equivalent amount or an alternative cash bill of 1 million shillings each. The accused are Felix Odhiambo, Elijah Otieno, Felix Acero Obwao, Seth Polo, Colin Somondi, Jeremiah Otieno Ogul, George Ochieng Olo, George Otieno, Maxwell Migimo, and Brenda Yonge. They appeared before Senior Magistrate Christine Auka in Homa Bay, where they denied charges of engaging in exam malpractices.
I direct that each accused person may be released on a bond of Kenya shillings, 2 million each, with one surety of a similar amount each, or cash bail of Kenya shillings, 1 million each, with one contact person each.
Authorities in the county, led by County Commissioner Moses Lilan and Teacher Service Commission Director Milton Oyugi, say strict security measures have been put in place to prevent a recurrence of exam malpractice.
We want to ask all our examinations officials, be they the center managers, the invigilators, and the security officers, their topmost priority is to guarantee the integrity of the exams.
According to the KCSE examination timetable released by Kenya National Examination Council, candidates are scheduled to sit for Kiswahili Lugha Paper 2 and Kiswahili Insha Paper 1 on Thursday. Joseph Wahungu for Prime Edition.
President William Ruto is in Juba, South Sudan, for talks with President Salva Kiir over the peace process, dubbed the Tumaini Peace Consensus, aimed at consolidating the country's political transition.
Well, in Juba, the president has held talks with his counterpart Salva Kiir, as well as the first Vice President Riek Machar, and the 2 wrangling functions in South Sudan have agreed to resume negotiations for lasting peace in the country, and have also agreed to involve the IGAD in the peace process.
President William Ruto's plane touched down at the Juba International Airport about midday Wednesday. Before heading to South Sudan State House, where he was received by President Salva Kiir. As a tradition, President Ruto inspected a guard of honor. The 2 leaders are to discuss the Tumaini initiative proposed by President Salva Kiir and supported by Kenya and development partners to devise a model for inclusive peace building and a political transition through peace consensus among rival political players to resolve years-long political conflicts. According to State House, the initiative has evolved through intensive dialogue with key South Sudanese stakeholders over the past 6 months to establish a foundation for lasting peace in the region. Last week, President Ruto hosted a delegation from South Sudan and the opposition parties' representatives in the Tumaini initiative on Tuesday in Nairobi to confirm their readiness to sign the Tumaini consensus. Kenya has been hosting negotiations between the revitalized transition government of national unity and other groups to advance the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the South Sudan peace agreement. The 2 will also discuss matters African Union and strategic regional infrastructure projects, including the Lapset Corridor. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
All right, moving this forward, members of parliament, let's just take another story regarding public participation before we tell you what members of parliament have said regarding the consolidation of bursaries. And a public participation bill that will not necessarily take into account the public views will soon be tabled on the floor of the National Assembly.
With Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah confirming this while contributing to a motion on public participation moved by Minority Leader Janet Mohammed. He cited the High Court ruling during the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua as a deputy president that ordered the National Assembly to conduct a fresh public participation exercise. The
legislators also cited the Supreme Court decision that overturned the Court of Appeal ruling that had impugned the Finance Bill 2023 on the basis the public views were not taken into account, saying the ruling, of course, led to the loss of jobs.
Ichung'wah also criticized the chairs of parliamentary committees who are fond of skipping House sessions.
Judgment last night, it gave me a lot of hope. And I said I must bring to the attention of members that now the country is going to the right direction in terms of legislation. The Supreme Court said, one of the best things the Supreme Court said is that Parliament doesn't have to convince the public on what they are doing or the legislation. They just need to inform them. Information, the Speaker. You don't have to convince because we are here to legislate on behalf of Kenyans. We are exercising sovereign power that is delegated to us, Mr. Speaker. The Supreme Court, in their own wisdom, said that you just need to inform the public. You don't need they don't have to agree with you.
Indeed, the Office of the Attorney General is in the wee hours of finalizing on the public participation bill, a substantive bill that now, even further informed by what the Supreme Court has said, will guide our public participation exercise moving forward, Honorable Speaker, so that we do not find many of the statutes that we enact into law in this House and in the other House, Honorable Speaker, being unconstitutional on the basis of public participation. And that is why it is very important for this Supreme Court to have come with a clear distinction on what this House on what this House ought to do in terms of public participation. Because, Honorable Speaker, I was mesmerized by definitions of what a quality. You know, I read one judgment that said what was a quality public participation. The parameters one created. You know, what we are suffering from, Honorable Speaker, is actually what I would call judicial activism, where some people, and I say this with tremendous respect to members of the judiciary, where some members of the judiciary, Honorable Speaker, decided to be activists and populist, start making populist decisions.
Moving on, the High Court will rule on 6th March 2025 on whether to refer the enforced disappearance and abductions to the International Criminal Court.
Kituo cha Sheria applied for the referral, saying that the increasing cases of deaths and abductions have now reached the threshold of crimes against humanity.
Meanwhile, 31 suspects have been charged with conspiring to defraud 2 foreign nationals 35 kilograms of gold.
It is a wait-and-see situation as to whether Justice Lawrence Mugambi will refer extrajudicial killings and abductions witnessed in the country in recent days to the International Criminal Court, ICC.
Said the last sentence that these days when there's birth control, when a family loses one child, it has now lost, it has no children at all. Yeah.
In its applications, Kituo cha Sheria said investigation by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority have been undermined by police cover-ups and poor investigations.
There's an uphill task, if I may borrow this word from one of my land friends who used it, Mr. John Murray. It's an uphill task to prove murder.
The court was also told that the government had failed to address the matter, leaving many families devastated over kin's loss without a trace.
In the affidavit of Emmanuel Lagarde, Director Investigations, what happened, my lord, in that case, is that there is then issue of tampering with evidence, instances of cover-up, and witness fatigue that then frustrate conduct of those investigations.
Elsewhere, 31 persons have been charged with possessing 2,500 in fake US dollars. The prosecution informed trial magistrate Dolphina Alego that during the raid at the hideout in Runda Estate, police also said counterfeit gold, spray paint and padlocks used to create the fake gold.
Hapa katika jiji la Nairobi, kwenye jimbo la Nairobi, katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, mkiwa pamoja basi na wengine ambao wako kwa court sasa, mliweza kushirikiana kuweza kumlaghai personally Abia Malvia pamoja na Mr. Mohamed Adel jumla ya dola ya Kimarekani 54,300 kwa kudai kwamba mlikuwa na uwezo ya kuweza kumuhusia dhahabu.
In their defense, the accused pleaded for leniency, citing they were people of small means.
Releasing these accused persons, as has been said, there is no deposition as to whether they are a flight risk or that would interfere with any evidence or witnesses. And as it is pointed out even in the charge sheet, they are all Kenyan citizens with very humble and fixed abode.
The magistrate applied leniency to the young lactating mother with a 3-month-old baby, while the other 30 were detained.
Both the defense and counsels for the accused persons agree. So that is another I pronounce myself that they will be returned to the various police stations that they were taken. I will consider only her. Only her.
With the prosecution calling for stringent bond terms against the 31 suspects arrested. 31 gold suspects. With the prosecution calling for stringent bond terms against the 31 gold fraud suspects who were arrested on Tuesday in Runda, they will remain in police custody until Thursday when the court will pronounce itself on the matter. And former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Wednesday withdrew an appeal he had lodged at the Court of Appeal seeking to stay High Court proceedings of his impeachment. When the case came up for mention, Gachagua's lawyer Paul Muite told appellate judges Patrick Kiage, Agri Muchelule and George Odunga that his client wished to withdraw the application since it has been overtaken by events. The Justice Kiage-led bench has directed parties to file and sub their submissions before the matter is scheduled for a full hearing before the coast break for the December holidays. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Exactly 10 minutes past the top of the hour. We are due for our first break. We circle back with plenty more, including business and sports.
Rahisisha uwezo wako wa ushindi kwa kukuwa memba wa Loto Moto, na ni rahisi. Dial *570#. Ukiwa memba ni rahisi kufika kwenye jukwaa hili ili kujaribu mchezo wetu wa Loto Moto Show. Na pia kama memba unajipa nafasi rahisi ya kuingia kwenye promotion zetu zinazokupa nafasi ya kujishindia chapaa na zawadi kibao kama TV, friji, pikipiki, mashamba na pia magari. Kuwa memba ni *570#. Tushinde kama memba.
Hello, fabulous ladies. Welcome to the talk show that's all about sisterhood, empowerment, and unfiltered conversation. We will be focusing on women. We believe in women.
We are really changing.
We are creating a safe space for women to connect, thrive, and share.
Just because you're a woman on a bike, you're labeled in a certain way.
It's not just a talk show, it's a movement.
When they are standing, we need to stand out.
From heartwarming tales to hilarious adventures.
They could ask me, Catherine, why are you learning?
We are turning the spotlight on women who are breaking barriers in their individual fields.
You have to have a vision.
You are the leaders of Kenya today.
Keeping it honest and relatable.
Mental health is real.
Yes.
Where there is no communication, there is no relationship.
Join the sisterhood every Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBC TV for Dada's show.
Hapo kwa crime scene walitaja jina yako.
Ati? Unafaa kuwa jela wewe.
Mama nimerebia jina lakini
mimi hisi yangu indanganye.
ambayo hisia yako Mama Jane ifanye uchunguzi vizuri kabisa.
Omba msamaha, usamehewe.
Hebu unaonekana kuongeza ujinga.
Sasa hizo ndo zote zimekusaidia na nini Jackie?
Amjei pata uchi for orchestrator hii plan mzima.
Huyu ni mtu anatujua. Na najua ile siku tunambeba pesa.
Yaani, huyu kijana amenizoea.
Ile najaribu kuangalia kila kitu na angle zote.
Keep change.
Alex. Kelele ni ya nini? Ona, mzuri nataka nikwambie.
Hivyo ndio uliamua utakacheza.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. And in the meantime, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has underscored the essential role county governments will play in advancing the country's economic diplomacy.
Speaking at a consultative meeting in Nairobi, Mudavadi highlighted how county governments, in partnership with the national government, will help shape a policy that drives investment, boosts tourism, and promotes cultural exchange.
Musalia Mudavadi has highlighted the importance of county governments as key partners in shaping a foreign policy that not only boosts investment and tourism, but also drives cultural exchange. Speaking at a roundtable discussion with the Council of Governors, Mudavadi stressed that the ongoing review will ensure that Kenya's foreign policy reflects the aspiration of every Kenyan.
One of the issues that kept on disturbing me was that Kenya's foreign policy was foreign to Kenyans. It was alien. Hence, my persistency in actually saying that we need to have a review and have broader consultation.
The Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs is engaging with various stakeholders, including governors, diplomats, and representatives from sectors such as global health and the blue economy as part of this comprehensive review. Mudavadi noted that the final revised policy will be owned by all Kenyans with input from both Parliament and the public.
Counties sometimes carry a bigger burden than you imagine on behalf of the nation. And I'll give you two specific examples. There's the Kakuma and there's Dadaab. But which counties carry the largest burden? Turkana and Garissa.
2014 policy pays very scant respect to the idea of counties. And what we have done at the State Department pursuant to that proposition, of course, Your Excellency, is to establish a directorate that we call liaison.
The review is set to update Kenya's 2014 foreign policy, expanding it to include emerging issues such as digital diplomacy, climate change, and space exploration. The Council of Governors said this is an opportunity to strengthen Kenya's international position, especially as the country leverages its strategic location to attract investment and trade.
We cannot assume, for example, that a governor knows what the policy of the government is out there. So I think there is even an importance that county governors or county governments are inculcated into the real policy of the government beyond our borders.
The ministry is set to meet with additional stakeholders in the coming weeks, with the final policy paper expected to be presented to Parliament in early December. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Members of Parliament say they will not support the consolidation of education kitties as proposed by a section of Kenyans.
The lawmakers say the National Government Constituency Development Fund, NGCDF, has held tremendous impact in the country, and thus folding it would be going against the decentralization of resources.
Members of Parliament have risen in defense of the Constituency Development Fund and its contents, such as the education bursary. Nairobi County Woman Member of Parliament Esther Passaris, in a motion, wants all education kitties collapsed into a single fund that will streamline the funding of education.
Honorable Speaker, there are certain schools that will not be here today functioning if it was not for NGCDF bursary. But Honorable Speaker, the ministry has a lot of money for bursary. Where does that money go? Today you actually want to take this money back to the ministry again.
The reason why CDF is very successful is these honorable members are the ones who are very close to the families in the rural areas, Mr. Speaker.
They say the move is ill-informed and risk discriminating various regions.
Mr. Speaker, the challenge we face is we have people who have lived in Jogoo for a while now, and they will tell you how they are doing things, yet part of them are the biggest problem we are facing, Mr. Speaker. So if you have been in a system for 30 years, why is it that we cannot make it right for our children in this country?
If we allow this to happen, it will only benefit certain corners of the country. So, Mr. Speaker, until that time that we have the correct structures that will manage these funds, it is a no for me.
Honorable Speaker, I was very surprised the other day when I went to the minister and said, I want the infrastructure money. And you know what they told me? They told me all the infrastructure money was divided and given to certain regions already, and therefore, I am a deputy majority leader here, but there was not even a shilling for me. For infrastructural development.
I can only support this motion, Honorable Speaker, if we are assured that there will be no payment of school fees in all the schools, so that all the students go to school and the government pays for their fees.
More than 100 billion shillings is annually injected into the education system from channels such as the National Government Constituency Development Fund, the County Government Bursary Program, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, the Presidential Secondary School Bursary, and the Ward-Based Level Bursary.
You find the county governments giving out to the students, which the national government has already given out, and some others who are very needy are missing. So this double allocation of bursaries to students.
We are in the process of decentralizing funds, and we should revert now to centralizing as the move of this motion is proposing.
In fact, we need to think of how to get these monies out of education, the monies that is already controlling, Mr. Speaker. We cannot, Mr. Speaker, go that direction.
The MP is instead proposing that the government adopt measures to ensure the challenges in capitation are addressed. The motion had sought to address challenges such as lack of transparent selection criteria, delay in disbursements, and insufficient coverage of education costs, leading to gaps in support. Kamchiminza for Prime Edition.
Away from the corridors of Parliament, Mining and Blue Economy Cabinet Secretary Ali Hassan Joho has issued a 14-day ultimatum to Kilima Pesa Gold Company to settle its outstanding dues to the community, the Narok County Government and the national government.
Elsewhere, Kakamega County Government has been urged to complete stalled projects before starting new ones.
These and other stories in our county news wrap.
Speaking during a visit to Lolgorian in Transmara South Sub-County, Mining and Blue Economy Cabinet Secretary Ali Hassan Joho instructed the Department of Mining, Narok County Security Team and county officials to conduct a thorough audit of Kilima Pesa Gold Company's financial records to identify what has led to their failure to clear outstanding dues.
Kama hawajalipa, waeleze mpango wa kulipa, na kama hawana mpango ama wanao mpango, muwapatie hao siku 14 wiki mbili walipe, wameshindwa wafunge safari, waanze kuelekea kurudi kule wametoka.
Elsewhere, Kakamega County Government has been asked to complete stalled projects before embarking on new ones. The stalled projects, according to residents, include Bohongo Stadium, Shamahubu Hospital and Tumbeni Dairy Factory, among others.
You should concentrate kumaliza zile miradi ambazo wameanza. We want to see Bohongo Stadium now watu wakichezea ndani. We want to see Shamahubu imeisha, watu wanatibiwa kule. We want to see hizi barabara za lami ile Harambe kwenda River Halaba kama imepita, watu wanatumia hiyo lami.
Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund, through the national government, has granted 300 million shillings to the Nandi County government for the construction of a modern market and a 2.5-kilometer road in Mosorio town.
These activities have been able to assist our people who live in Mosorio, one in creating employment, secondly in ensuring that we have reduced criminal activities.
And in Murang'a County, stakeholders in environmental conservation are spearheading the restoration of 2 endangered forests, Nyeri Hill and Kilimambogo Hill forests, in a bid to recover the damaged forest cover.
Na hii miti mnaona midogo midogo hii ni miti walipanda one year ago, na wamepanda mlima yote, wamewahi kusunguka mpaka karibu kumaliza mlima wakipanda miti. Wamepanda miti zaidi ya 1400.
In the meantime, the county government of Makueni, in partnership with Ndukuma residents, plan to unveil a campaign dubbed Ndukuma Run, designed to raise awareness about environmental conservation, address climate change, and inspire residents to take action towards sustainable practices.
We want to start the first of its kind Ndukuma Run. We are lucky that we have also been put in the circuit of the Athletics Association so that this becomes an annual event. It has been approved, and the purpose of having this is to continue the discussion on protection of the environment.
Finally, sugarcane farmers in Kakamega County have lauded the move by President William Ruto for signing the sugar bill into law, saying it will go a long way in addressing myriad challenges that have crippled the one vibrant and profitable industry.
This bill will go a long way through the creation of the sugarcane board to make sure that internally they will come up with the systems and the framework of regulating importation of sugar from outside the country.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
And to the U.S. elections now, where Donald Trump has won and will make a historic return to the White House as the 47th president.
A projected win in Wisconsin pushed the Republican to 279 college votes, which is about 7 more than the required electoral votes threshold to win the presidency.
Kamala Harris is yet to concede, has so far secured 223 college votes.
Florida. Flanked by family and key supporters such as the world's richest man Elon Musk, the 45th and soon to be the 47th president of the United States took to the podium and revisited many of the themes and anecdotes used during his campaign.
Country here, we have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country.
In his victory speech, Donald Trump reiterated his commitment to fulfill promises made during his campaign.
I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Some of the issues Trump campaigned on include ending inflation and making America affordable again. On illegal immigrants, he pledged to complete the construction of the U.S.-Mexico border wall. So far, Trump has garnered votes from 279 college votes against Kamala at 223, surpassing the required 270 electoral vote threshold to win the presidency.
People are here because they want their daughters to have a right. Some people are here and they're voting because they want the border to be more secured.
Older than us didn't get the opportunities that I feel my daughters are going to have. And that's one of the reasons why I'm casting this vote, because I need to at least participate in securing a future that will give them every right they want to pursue whatever they want.
Me particularly, I'm super excited because it's an encouragement. I'm able to know and believe that American dream is visible.
Of the 7 crucial swing states, Trump won North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and is ahead in Michigan, Nevada, Maine, and Arizona. Kamala Harris is yet to concede. Trump is also beating Harris in the popular vote, the first Republican to lead nationally since George W. Bush in 2004. Meanwhile, global leaders have sent their congratulatory messages, including Kenya's President William, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and United Kingdom Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. The US election was also a historic moment for a Kenyan-born American Huldah Momanyi Hitley, who won a seat in the Minnesota House Representatives with over 64% of the votes. Her victory makes her one of the few American-born immigrants to reach this level of political office in the United States. Originally from Nyamira County in Kenya, Huldah moved to Minnesota aged 9 and has since built a strong reputation in public service and community advocacy. Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Kuna vitu vingi sana vya kushinda.
Kama vile TV, kuka, washing machine, fridge, kipiki, pesa na hata gari. Na sio gari tu, Subaru.
Na kuna jackpots kadha wa kadha. Kuna power jackpot ya 1.9 million.
Mega jackpot 2.5 million.
Na Super Sunday ya 3 million Kenya shillings. Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. Uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Nini? Kwani nini? Kama wewe hujui nini mimi nitajuaje? Ni wewe umekuja nacho, niambie ni kitu gani? Nini?
Nikipoteza chochote chumbani mwangu, nisiulize wale ambao naishi na wao.
Oh, kati ya wale unaishi nao, uko na siri ndio wa kwanza. Hivyo viatu na nguo tunavaa na wewe.
Sikiza nikupe ushauri mdogo. Baada ya kuvuta bangi, hakikisha umekunywa maziwa. Sawa? Toka.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. Before we head over for business, Doreen.
Now to our weekly feature, cinemas and theatre, with over 16 countries and 45 theatrical shows on the roster. This year's the Nairobi theatre scene has been ignited in a big way by the 9th edition of the Kenya International Theatre Festival that opened Tuesday at the Kenya National Theatre.
The festival is a collaborative effort between the Kenya International Theatre Festival Trust and the Kenya Cultural Centre.
This week on Cinemas and Theatre, we delve into this festival, which brings together performers and audiences from across the globe to celebrate the power of theatre in inspiring change.
The 9th edition of the Kenya International Theatre Festival launched in grand style at the Kenya National Theatre, promising 2 weeks of inspiring performances, cultural exchange and creative exploration. These traditional Kenyan dancers, dressed in colorful attire and backed by rhythmic drums, set the stage for the cultural festivities. Their energetic performances and infectious beats drew applause from festival goers, heightening anticipation for the evening's main events. Inside the theatre, the evening continued with mesmerizing performances that showcased the rich tapestry of global cultures. Audiences were transported from different corners of the world as they enjoyed intricate and graceful dance pieces from India, showcasing classical techniques and storytelling through dance. From Switzerland, dancers brought a unique fusion of traditional and contemporary movements, blending Swiss folklore with modern interpretations that captivated and thrilled the audience. The theme of the festival is embracing diversity, inspiring change, theatre as a catalyst for social transformation. With over 16 countries and 45 theatrical shows on the roster, this year's festival promises an extraordinary celebration of global artistry.
Over the years, KidFest has been growing over and over again. Now there is more participation of Kenyan theatre practitioners, and mostly from groups outside the city. So I would say in the 9th edition, we have almost 20 local participating theatre groups. And a total of 16 countries.
But how does the festival select and curate international performances?
At the beginning of the year, we normally send out a call internationally using our partners, our network, social media, foreign embassies, and we advertise for anybody who wants to come and perform at KidFest to apply. So they apply. By around May, we normally have guys who have applied. This year we had over 100 applications, and then we do the shortlisting. So the shortlisting is based on the different genres. Maybe you have a unique dance, you have unique puppetry, so we try to do a balance so that we have all forms of creative expression being represented here. We also try to do a balance between the continents and the countries so that at least we have a country from South America, from Asia, from Europe, from North America, and so on and so forth.
This year's festival also builds on the Kenya International Theatre Festival Trust dedication to nurturing local talent through its capacity building program and County Theatre Fiesta. These programs, which include Sauti Zaboma, provide mentoring and showcase opportunities for theatre companies from counties outside Nairobi.
We expose them to the very best that is happening in Europe. We expose them to the very best happening in South America, North America, Asia. We introduce them to new trends, and most importantly, we have them collaborate and network. For instance, from one of our partnerships last year, one of the teams that performed from the Czech Republic, this year we were able to take Kenyan artists to the Czech Republic, where they stayed for a 2-month residency and were able to perform in Prague for the Czech community. So what is that doing? That is exposing the international community to Kenyan theatre as well.
KidFest continues to be a significant platform for celebrating the power of theatre in addressing societal issues and promoting global understanding. The festival serves as a testament to Kenya's growing reputation as a hub for creativity and artistic expression on the international stage. Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Thank you very much for watching Prime Edition. Time for the business news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Kenyans should not expect tax relief anytime soon. Instead, they should prepare for more tax measures, according to Chief Economist and Government Advisor David Ndii. He explained that as long as Kenya remains under the International Monetary Fund program, implementing higher taxes is part of the agreement to ensure fiscal discipline and debt management. Speaking during the annual NCBA Bank Economic Outlook, Dr. Ndii further says Kenya's fiscal policy is shaped by the need to reduce its public debt and meet IMF benchmarks, which often means passing the burden to taxpayers. NCBA Bank projects the Kenyan economy will expand by 4.8% of GDP, driven by agricultural productivity due to favorable weather conditions and the services sector in 2024. However, the growth will remain flat in 2025, attributed to lower disposable income, increasingly unpredictable tax environment, geopolitical tensions, and high interest rates.
Protests. Speaking at the NCBA Economic Outlook, Chief Economic Presidential Advisor David Ndii says Kenya's fiscal policy is largely being driven by the need to reduce public debt and adhere to IMF conditions, which often leads to additional tax burdens on citizens.
When you're in an IMF program, you are in the receivership. There's no relief. You're only going to get relief when you come out of receivership. When companies are in receivership, what do? They cut costs, they lay off people.
He cautioned Kenyans to temper expectations for tax relief, stating that to close the budget deficit and increase development spending, the government must broaden the tax base and target a 22% increase in tax revenue.
If you need to spend 24-25% of GDP, you cannot have revenue of 15% of GDP. Because then you are talking about deficits of 7, 8, 10%. So you must either scale down your ambitions, your development ambitions. If you think you have an expenditure problem and your revenue is 15%, then you must scale down your development ambitions to be able to spend 17% of GDP. You cut down on education, health, infrastructure investment. How much relief do we provide at this point in time? At this point in time, zero.
NCBA Bank CEO John Gashora added that debt interest payments will consume 38% of tax revenue in the 2024-2025 fiscal year, reducing only slightly to 35% in the following year.
It is clear that this fiscal year denies the authorities the necessary resources for development spending that is so essential to our medium and long-term growth prospects. Of even greater concern to business enterprises is the fact that tax and statutory deductions remain on a rising and unpredictable path.
Looking ahead, the bank projects that Kenya's economy will grow by 4.8% of GDP in 2024, driven by increased agricultural productivity due to favorable weather and expansion in the services sector.
Now, the government is working on a multifaceted approach to help accelerate the adoption of sustainable construction practices, drive innovation, and make green housing more accessible and affordable. Public Works Principal Secretary Joel Arumonyang says this will ensure industry regulators and agencies such as the National Construction Authority continually update existing building codes and regulations to incorporate sustainability and energy efficiency standards.
The buildings and construction sector is by far the largest emitter of greenhouse gases, accounting for a staggering 37% of global emissions. The production and use of materials such as cement, steel and aluminium have a significant carbon footprint. In line with this, Kenya is developing regulations to entrench green building practices. The planned Climate Change Green and Resilient Buildings Regulations 2023 seeks to establish a green resilient building unit under the State Department for Public Works. The department will oversee the implementation of provisions relating to green buildings in Kenya.
Our country is at forefront in issues of climate action, focus on green construction, and already we have a roadmap towards that end.
The unit will keep a record of green buildings, oversee certification and rating systems, and accredit green building professionals in Kenya. Once enacted, the regulations will enable the country to meet the zero carbon building emission goal.
The Kenyan government committed itself on the issues of climate action in our buildings and across sectors.
Public Works Principal Secretary Joel Arumonyang is also urging consumers to prioritize the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya brand as a way of bolstering locally manufactured goods, strengthening the local market.
One area that our government is focused on is also to utilize raw materials so that local materials, the building materials, so that we can support our local economy.
This emerged during the opening of Big Five Construct Kenya, where key insights on the construction sector's opportunities as well as challenges are being discussed, covering 4 key themes: architecture, project management, technology, and sustainability. Ndotamo Kami for Prime Edition.
Now, the much-awaited Manufacturing Amendment Bill heads to Parliament next week as the government moves to stimulate Kenya's industrial base. Secretary in the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry, Professor Erastus Gatebe, says the bill to address barriers hindering the growth of the sector. The government targets to expand the manufacturing base in Kenya from the current 8% of GDP to 15% by 2030.
Kenya's manufacturing sector faces a series of challenges, including an unpredictable tax regime, high operational costs, and a fragmented policy framework. With the sector contributing about 8% to the GDP annually, the government wants to increase the contribution to 20% by 2030. The government has been developing various policies aimed at streamlining the sector by addressing various bottlenecks affecting the sector. Secretary in the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry, Professor Erastus Gatebe, says these will be achieved through various reforms, with the government focusing on strategies to attract and de-risk local and foreign investments.
On Monday, we had public participation on the bill. It's already presented in Parliament. We look forward for it to be fast-tracked because the business reform bill, which most of you have contributed, is helping us to make it easier for any manufacturers or any business, from tax issues to what was mentioned earlier here, power issues, to be resolved.
The Manufacturing Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to rationalize incentives to promote manufacturing growth and enhance consumer protection and fair trade practices.
There are a lot of VAT refunds delay. We do understand the feedback that came from Kioria in terms of verification of these refunds, but I would urge they establish an appropriate system that would vet those refunds.
Speakers attending the annual industrialization conference have further urged the government to initiate measures aimed at improving the performance of the export sector, reducing domestic trade costs and harmonized taxes within the sector. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Now, streamlining of policies and digital literacy initiatives are key in fostering transparent interactions between the government and the public. Civic tech players say strengthening platforms for public engagement would allow citizens to easily track legislations and actively participate in the decision-making process.
Previously, many Kenyans have felt left in the dark about policy changes and decisions made by the government, creating a gap between the public and policymakers. Stakeholders in the technological space say this can change through strengthened institutional frameworks to support the use of digital tools.
The whole idea behind this is, do we have an opportunity to build a digital public good that advances democracy for both citizens and developers?
One of the flagship programs we talked about today was to aggregate all these tools, create a citizen super app, if you will, where any citizen can know if they go to this place, they can get a source of truth in terms of information and data from the government.
The digital apps, they note, will allow users to easily track legislative developments and engage with the government through feedback mechanisms.
Platforms like Twitter are very important, but you also have to have a platform where things are narrowed down to the actual truth, because, you know, out there on social media, there's so many things you'll find, and you don't know what's true and what's not.
What we are doing is bringing leaders and voters in one place where leaders can upload their manifestos as well as projects that they want to do. And voters on the other side will come and verify whether these leaders have actually completed those projects on time.
Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Tangu nishinde gari imenisaidia sana. Nimekuwa nikitumia kubebeba watu. Angalau naona life inabadilika. Sikosi angalau kwa siku.
Nilikuwa donda, nilikuwa tu msave hivi. Sasa hivi nina gari, naweza drive na naweza beba watu, naweza make my own money.
Mungu amekutoa kwa matatu.
Dial *570# option 4, hapo kuna Pro Box. Na ina feel poa sana kuendesha gari ambayo unajua imechangia pakubwa kusaidia society. Unaweza anisha nayo busy yako ya transportation, ida kubebea watu wasoko vitu, na niko sure by the end of the day uta make ends meet. Dial *570# option 4 na Pro Box ya kushindaniwa.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition Business. Now, the East African Tea Trade Association is calling for a system upgrade by the Kenya Revenue Authority to hasten the clearance of tea containers for export at the Mombasa port. The association's directors say the slow clearance is leading to losses amounting to over $25 million weekly and risks shutting down the weekly tea auction. Anne Buru with the details.
The East African Tea Trade Association directors have taken issue with the Kenya Revenue Authority's ICMS clearing system, what they say is slowing down clearance of tea containers for export. The directors say the delays witnessed are losing the country approximately $25 million weekly in a demurrage costs and lost businesses.
There is also likely to have a loss in trade. The norm is that when we are exporting teas, particularly those who export tea, until such time that the tea is shipped out, you get the beer, the buyer at the other side cannot remit the funds. And therefore those funds will not be remitted as long as the teas are still on our land and they remain unshipped. So that's a very, very huge loss.
Our teas have been on containers for the last 5 days. We have to incur demurrage costs. We are going to incur transport costs. All these costs will ultimately be borne by the Kenyan farmer because the buyer cannot cushion those costs. We want to load teas in the morning and have them delivered to the port as fast as we can. Otherwise, we are going to slow down buying because there's no guarantee that we'll be able to ship those teas in time.
They suggested a systems upgrade or a total system overhaul for smooth exportation of the teas.
We should use USR to bill the exporters monthly. This had been tried before. It was being done by KFIS. And if this is done, it will save the situation. And this can continue until the current situation goes back to normal.
We appeal that the challenges that exporters have been experiencing through the implementation of our CMS mapping challenges that have been experienced should be addressed in a timely manner to ensure that we reduce the export cost and increase our export revenue.
With Kenya already adding value to the teas for export in Europe, the delays have threatened the smooth supply of the same. Hence, there are calls for the government to intervene and have the matter resolved amicably and in time before they lose more business.
If the problem persists, then we'll have no option but to call off the weekly auction. If we do, $25 billion a week, relating to about 3.26 million Kenya shillings a week, will be a loss to this country.
We have just started value-adding teas for Europe, particularly the supermarkets. And if we cannot deliver these teas in time, we risk being blacklisted as an unreliable supplier of value-added teas.
Our inefficiency at the port of Mombasa will send a wrong signal to our producer member countries that might compel them to look for alternative export ports. We are not an island as a nation, and we believe that we need to protect what we have, and therefore we appeal to government and all the partner government agencies to put their acts together, address all the issues affecting tea export in this country to ensure that the tea trade is not negatively impacted.
From Mombasa County, I am Ann Mburu.
And Mburu's story there brings a close to business news this evening. Sports news is coming up. Bernardo Kumu is standing by after a quick break. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do have yourself a lovely night. Bye-bye.
I was just like...
Je, ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Kuna vitu vingi sana vya kushinda.
Kama vile TV, kuka, washing machine, fridge, kipiki, pesa na hata gari. Na sio gari tu, Subaru.
Na kuna jackpots kadha wa kadha. Kuna power jackpot ya 1.9 million.
Mega jackpot 2.5 million.
Na Super Sunday ya 3 million Kenya shillings. Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. Uwe mshindi.
Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
I know Kinanzu is a very inconvincible person.
Okay, Kamene, today have it your way. I am not going to even correct you. I can't.
I mean, wait. Do you guys still get some beating from your parents? As big as some of you are?
You just know I will leave my mother's house when I am 33 years.
That is the way to go, Kamene. Adulting is not the way we thought. See everything the way we thought. See rahisi.
Angalia juba yako.
Tukate maji.
Run sports at this hour. I'm Bernard Okumu, and let's begin with athletics, where the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports will triple budgetary allocation for youth academies and camps across the country to enhance talent development. Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said this during a familiarization tour at the Athletics Kenya offices in Nairobi today, where he reiterated the government's commitment to supporting athletes. The sports CS also announced that the ministry is collaborating with the National Police Service to ensure establishment of gender-based violence centers in all the sports federations to curb the rising cases of the gender-based violence. He also declared the ministry's support for Kenya's bid to host the 2029 World Athletics Championships, emphasizing his commitment to deliver both Kasarani and Talanta City Stadia in time for the bidding process. Kenya will be making its second bid after the 2025 unsuccessful attempt, which was eventually awarded to Tokyo, Japan, hoping that this time around they will be able to host a global senior event, having successfully staged the World Athletics Under-18 and Under-20 Championships.
Even last year, but it's going to be enhanced to be more. We will work together with AK, but also working with the Sports Academy. We are actually tripling the resources that we are going to put in sports camps. And not just for athletics, but now for the entire other disciplines, football, basketball, volleyball, rugby. But for athletics specifically, we are going to make sure that we continue supporting the camps. And I've been shown what the holiday camps have done. Fantastic job. And so we have the capacity to do so. We improve our facilities a little bit, we host the World Championship. And we are competent and capable of doing so. And that's why I approved the bidding of World Championships 2029 by AK.
And to soccer now, where the FKF Men's Premier League champions Gor Mahia suffered another defeat away to Bandari as 10-man Kenya Police FC held 2009 champions of Opaka to an all draw during another Kenya Premier League match played Wednesday at Dandora Stadium in Nairobi. Defending Women's Premier League champions Kenya Police Bullets also salvaged a point against Kibera Soccer Women in Don Bosco at Karen. Kenya Under-20 international Baron Ocheng gave Sofapaka the lead in the 8th minute, capitalizing on a defensive blunder by police custodian Patrick Matasi.
Dhidi ya FC Leopards, lakini leo hii hapa kwenye uwanja, kwenye lango hili akafanya makosa Abudi Omar kupiga pasi ambayo ilimpata kuloba, na basi miss pass ya Abudi Omar imechangia akapatikana Matasi kwenye eneo.
Kenya Police equalized in the second half through David Okoth's finish.
Analeta ndani David Okoth Odhiambo! Jina hili sio geni jijini, labda kwa wageni wa jiji, lakini kwa wenyeji wa jiji, jina hili tayari wamelizoea.
In another match, defending champions Gor Mahia suffered their second defeat of the season after losing 2-0 to Bandari at Kwale Stadium. Geoffrey Junga and Beja Nyamwai scored a goal apiece in the second half to hand their side the emphatic win.
Anaambia hauwezi ukacheza taarabu kama umevaa jeans. Pasi inapigwa kwake Beja Nyamwai. Beja!
Meanwhile, defending Women's Premier League champions Kenya Police Bullets drew 0-0 with Kibera Soccer Women in the Women's Premier League match at Don Bosco grounds in Karen. Despite both sides dominating the proceedings interchangeably, they couldn't breach each other's defense, with the match ending in a stalemate.
Playing against the champions with exposures, good players, but I believe my players played well. Just a few correction and we'll be there. So today match we played without a striker. So maybe that was a challenge, but by time goes by, we'll adapt to it because we lost our dependable striker.
Mechi kawaida hakuna mechi rahisi. Kila mechi inakuja na mwendo wake na tunajaribu kupambana nazo venye zinakuja. Haitakuwa rahisi, lakini tutangangana mpaka mwisho.
Imekuwa poa
nimepatiwa opportunity ya kujibrand, kujisell hapa Premier League. Nashukuru sana. Ndio maana nataka kuprove I can fit there.
Following the draw, Kenya Police moved to the third position with 8 points from 4 matches, while Kibera Soccer is placed fourth on 7 points. Former champions Vihiga Queens lead the standings with 10 points, while Trinity Starlets is placed second, a point adrift. And to rugby now, where the national 15s rugby team, Kenya Simbas, is out to reclaim their title when they face the Uganda Cranes this weekend in the first leg of the Elgon Cup tournament at the RFA grounds along Ngong Road. Now, the elsewhere, plans at an advanced stage to accord former football legend, the late Austin Odoro Otieno, a befitting send-off with the burial set for this Saturday, 9th of November in Makunga Village, Navaholo, Kakamega County. While leading a fundraiser on Tuesday in Nairobi, Deputy Chief of Staff in the Executive Office of the President, Eliud Owalo, extolled Austin as a committed and disciplined player whose values should be emulated by the upcoming players. The former defender, who passed on age 65, joined Gor Mahia from Umeme Sportif in 1980 and was part of the Gor Mahia squad that won 3 league titles on the trot between 1983 and 1985. Odor's biggest achievement was when he captained Gor Mahia in the finals of the 1987 Africa Cup Winners' Cup, where they beat Tunisia's Esperance at the Moi International Sports Centre Kasarani to lift the prestigious Mandela Cup. He went on to captain the national soccer team Harambee Stars between 1988 to 1990, where he helped them qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations in 3 consecutive editions.
I was telling some people over the weekend that we have got extremely good players like Bob, but also equally indisciplined. So
and another gentleman called Agwesh could not let us, the younger players, to be bullied by our seniors. It's Austin and Agwesh who came to protect us or to our defense, and they allowed us to play in the small field where now we play handball, where handball is played.
Well, and on that note, that's how we end it. Thank you so much for watching. I hand you back to Doreen Arange and John Jacob Kioria to bring the curtain down in today's edition of the news. Have a lovely
And down we shall bring the curtains, clearly. These are Ifuta Cup on Prime Edition. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Have yourself a fantastic night.
And as we bring the curtains down, we exit the stage sit ground for the next program. Many thanks for watching Prime Edition. I'm Doreen Arange. Lucy Maura has been our sign language interpreter. Good night.
Rahisisha uwezo wako wa ushindi kwa kukuwa memba wa Loto Moto, na ni rahisi. Dial *570#. Ukiwa memba ni rahisi kufika kwenye jukwaa hili ili kujaribu mchezo wetu wa Loto